I want to show you how to identify vehicles with damage history, because I know a lot of you are getting your dealer's license with a sole intent to get into dealer auctions or to maybe bid on dealer auction websites. There are thousands of vehicles every day that go right through the dealer auctions that do have damage history. And I'll always say that, one of the easiest parts of this business is when you have that vehicle prepped and ready to go on your lot. One of the hardest parts is going out and constantly trying to find vehicles to purchase to resell on your lot. But you are going to be constantly looking for vehicles to purchase. You need to make sure when you are buying vehicles that you are aware of their damage history. And the state of Missouri basically has two levels of salvage title. We have a salvage title and a prior salvage title. A lot of times when a vehicle gets into a wreck, it's in damaged condition, it's going to end up like at a Copart auction or like an insurance salvage auction. When a vehicle's in a wreck and in non-drivable condition, the state of Missouri issues it what is known as a salvage title. You cannot drive these. They're in wrecked condition. They're damaged. They cannot be driven. However, many times savvy entrepreneurs like you might go into these insurance auctions and buy vehicles, and you can fix those vehicles up, make them nice and safe and roadworthy, and then you take them to the highway patrol. And either a highway patrol trooper or motor vehicle inspector will come out with their 551 form, and they'll do what's called a 551 inspection to make sure the vehicle is safe and roadworthy. They're also going to look at your receipts to make sure, obviously, that you didn't steal any parts of that vehicle. And when that motor vehicle inspector or highway patrol trooper, whoever's doing the inspection, does decide that vehicle that you fixed up is safe and roadworthy, the state of Missouri will allow it to be issued what is known as a prior salvage title. Now, a prior salvage title is safe and roadworthy and can be driven anywhere, just like a regular vehicle, but it is of less value. And you definitely need to be aware of that when you're going in to bid on vehicles at dealer auctions. Now, if you haven't been at a dealer auction yet, they're a big, exciting place. Most of them are basically the same. They're going to have multiple lanes with an elevated counter next to each lane with 2 or 3 auctioneers looking at a computer screen doing running the bids, and the vehicles come rolling through the lanes. Sometimes they don't even stop. And you're either going to be on the floor throwing your hand up, at the dealer auction, or maybe you're at your computer hitting the enter button, bidding online. Well, the dealer auctioneer is going to disclose to you whether or not that vehicle has damage history. So you want to bid accordingly, because you never want to give a full wholesale bid on a vehicle that does have damage history, because any vehicle with damage history is going to be worth less than a vehicle that has no damage history. So you definitely want to bid accordingly. Now, the auctioneer is not going to come out and say, hey, everyone, this car you're bidding on has a prior salvage title. It's been in a wreck, so you want to bid accordingly. Well, they're never going to say anything like that. They're going to say something like, hey, everyone, we got structure, or they'll be on the microphone, hey, everyone, we got unibody here, or hey, looks like we got left front end on this one, left front end. Or a lot of times they'll say it so fast, they might say something like, hey, we got a 2008 Toyota Camry with frame was the opening bid. I heard with frame in there. So you want to bid accordingly. You make sure that you never, ever give a full wholesale bid on a vehicle that does have damage history. So you want to bid on those accordingly. Another thing that you're going to need to be aware of is the explosion of VIN fraud when you're out shopping for vehicles to purchase. I recently read of a VIN scheme where a motor vehicle thief actually went into a legitimate car rental agency, rented that car, brought it into their chop shop, took the VIN off the dash and the door jamb, replaced them with counterfeit VINs, and then they went out and stole identical vehicles and then put the original VINs on the stolen vehicle, and then the person that's looking at that vehicle's VIN looks like it's just a form of rental return. So you want to make sure when you're buying vehicles that they don't have VIN fraud, that they don't have counterfeit VINs. You also want to make sure you never buy a stolen vehicle. So, Missouri got hit with this huge ATV theft ring here just a few years ago. And somebody in California stole several ATVs off of these California power sport dealer lots, and they ended up here in Missouri. So what happened here, we had a lot of licensed dealers buy these stolen ATVs. And as soon as the California Highway Patrol hooked up with the Missouri Highway Patrol, they were able to find out the dealers that had purchased these vehicles, and they went on the lot and they confiscated them. And I guarantee you there was not a dealer in Missouri that actually got their money back from the thief that stole them. That's probably still sitting in some California prison. You want to make sure you're not buying vehicles with undisclosed liens as well. And I want to talk about that. Lots of times, I think it's very possible that you're going to have a customer that's going to come in and they're going to be trading in a vehicle, and you're going to ask them if they owe anything on the trade-in. They'll look you straight in the eye and say no. and then you look it up and they have a lien on it. Well, you want to make sure you're never buying a vehicle that has an undisclosed lien. So how do you ensure the vehicle that you're purchasing to resell hasn't had the VIN fraudulently altered? How do you ensure you never buy a vehicle that was stolen? How do you ensure that you never buy a vehicle to resell with a undisclosed lien? Well, one of the things you want to make sure of is that you use this great title database, and I'm going to show you here in just a little bit, and it's called the National Motor Vehicle Title Information System. And it's going to show you a lot of really, really good information. And I'm going to show you one of these reports here. This is a government database. So it's vehiclehistory.gov. So when you go to this database, you're easily going to be able to click on the front page there and check the vehicle history. But I do want you to be aware, even though it is a government title database, it's not free to use. So you'll see a page there that has several vendors that you can click on. And, usually if you buy like 100 reports, it knocks it down to a couple of bucks a piece. You can buy 50 reports for like $100 or something like that. So more and more vendors are getting access to the National Motor Vehicle Title Information System. So I have seen those prices in the last couple of years really go down. So when you choose your vendor, when you run a report, normally the first page here is going to show you where that vehicle was manufactured. It's going to show you the number of cylinders, things like that, the horsepower. Usually on the second or third page, though, you're going to see some really, really great information. And as you see all these checks here on this report that I'm showing you here, this is actually a really, really great vehicle history report because it shows you right there at the top left, this vehicle has never been salvaged, it's never had flood damage, it's never had hail damage. Here's an important one here, no undisclosed liens. So that's a great resource for you as well. Shows the vehicle has never been in a collision, shows you it's never been reissued a VIN. This is some great information for you. And there's two really great advantages to running these reports. Number one, you are protecting yourself on the buy or the trade-in. So, you're making sure that you're not buying vehicles with undisclosed liens or stolen vehicles. But when you print up this really nice, sharp-looking, multicolor page report that I'm showing you right here and hang on to it, well, when you're showing that to the customer that's buying the vehicle on your lot, you're probably going to be increasing the value on the sales price. So you're protecting yourself on the buy. And then you're probably going to be increasing value on the sell as well. So I always recommend that you run these every single time that you are actually taking a vehicle on trade and every time that you're buying a vehicle on your lot from an individual, because you are going to have some protections at the dealer auctions. You're never going to buy a vehicle that was stolen at the dealer auction, but you could buy a stolen vehicle, from Joe Bob on your lot that seemed like the nicest guy in the world until you found out that vehicle you bought from him was stolen out of Dallas, Texas a couple of weeks ago. So, like I said, I strongly encourage you to run one of these vehicle history reports every single time that you take a trade-in and every single time you buy a vehicle from an individual. You're going to protect yourself on the buy, and I do believe that you'll also increase the sales price on the sale.